Calippos.
Killer Calippo. They're terrible for stains on their little white polo shirts.
Lindsay is going to sort you out.
Brilliant.
Before that, it's time to look at today's top stories alongside Baroness Sayeeda Warsi. Nick Ferrari has just ridden in on his suitcase into his studio there. Morning, Nick. Thank you for joining us.
Morning.
We're going to start with this first quite interesting talking point, that apparently only half of our youngsters leave school ready for work. I'm not sure what you felt like when you left school, Nick. Were you ready for work?
Yeah, I couldn't wait, really. I was delighted to get a salary. We've just been discussing this, actually, Ben, and a head teacher with whom we were speaking says he thinks one of the great problems is we don't pursue work experience as much as we did, and it had me thinking, and then it had... I've literally just finished the conversation now. So many people ringing in, talking about their own work experience. We might ask Sayeeda in just a moment. So to get it started, when I left school, I did work experience. I grew up in the country. I did it on a farm, so I had to work with cattle, sheep and pigs, which set me up brilliantly to come into journalism with politicians. But I'll leave that...
I'll livestock.
I'll leave that there.
And what about you, Sayeeda? Work experience is a big thing. I did some work recently about a movement to work, which was an amazing setup that's government-backed, actually. All these really big multinational companies finding really purposeful work experience for the young people to come in, to experience life and some work experience in a big company, but actually then to be mentored forward. So it's not just for the few days you're on a farm or the few days you did in a bank or the few days I did it at a theatre, but it actually has a purpose to it and there's an opportunity at the end.
Yeah, and work experience is one of the things that the Institute for Public Policy Research felt that was the issue here. Because, look, what's the problem? There's 1 million people at the moment, 18 to 24-year-olds, young people, who are not in education or in training or in work, and that can't be allowed to go on. You know, it's a waste of a whole generation of young people who could be in employment. I didn't do work experience, actually. No, I mean, I think I was offered something at the local McDonald's or something, and it wasn't an area that I thought would be somewhere that I would be pursuing. But what I did do, actually, interestingly, was that I typed up letters for my dad on the typewriter when I was young. I wrote up minutes of meetings when I was young. I went along to things with him and wrote up things for him. We had to work in the family business. So in a lot of ways, we were doing work experience on a daily basis because we were expected to do our bit for the wider kind of family work that went on. And so we were ready for work because you knew what it was like to turn up, to have to do a day's work, to have to deal with people coming in through the door, to deal with customers, to write up something, to write a letter. I think it's the skill set and understanding that when you go into the workplace, for many people who've never been in the workplace, it can be quite an intimidating thing. But I think work experience is one aspect of it. I think there are many more broader issues as to why young people are not in training or in employment or in work.
But it's interesting, isn't it, Nick? To your point, you were really ready for work. You were ready to get a job. You're ready to start earning some money. And yet, you know, these people in this, the young people in this, 47% say they just aren't ready.
Well, I just mourn the fact that I've missed the opportunity to say to the good Baroness, can I have fries with it and I want to go large? I mean, that would have just been such an amazing opportunity. I think we also have to take on, Ben, Kat, that the workplace has changed a little bit. Obviously not for you in a theatre, I understand that, but what there was in retail, there probably won't be the same opportunities. What there were in offices, there definitely won't be the same opportunities because we have a lot more working from home. We have this hybrid model. But I think, look, for some people, it's different. A lot of my peers, when they came out, they wanted to carry on studying. They wanted to get into university. Good luck to them. And I hope it's worked out well for all of them. I'd had enough of education. I wanted to sort of experience what life was about. I remember my first pay packet. This wasn't on the farm, where I think I got a side of bacon or something. I don't remember. My first pay packet a week was 39 quid for the week, and I was absolutely elated. I couldn't get working quick enough to get more money.
Yeah. I tell you what was available, which isn't available now. And post-school, I did knock on lots of doors, you know, solicitors' firms, the local court service, speaking to local magistrates and just saying, is it OK for me to come in and spend a couple of days? Can I just come in and observe? Yeah. That's no longer available because the amount of paperwork and bureaucracy it takes to get into an office just to be able to spend a couple of days there. I know when people say to me, can I come and do some work experience with you? I have to think about all the forms I'm going to have to fill, all the hoops I'm going to have to jump through, everything that I'm going to have to do in terms of security and everything else, just to allow somebody to come in and watch what you're doing. And I think that has also stopped firms and individuals from offering work experience.
There's definitely the admin side of things. I remember before I left university, before I sort of started doing this, I was trying to do all sorts of things, and I went through a directory of PR companies, and I just started phoning these PR companies to try and get some work experience, and I ended up phoning Paul Winner, who was Michael Winner's cousin, who had this very successful PR company and had downsized. I just happened to phone him, and he picked up the phone, said, I'm interested in doing some work experience. Told him about. He said, yes, come in. And I ended up doing a couple of weeks' work experience with Paul. He was an extraordinary character. Was at part of his career where he was downsizing, but had all this information, was a real wonderful character. I got to know him brilliantly. And then that work experience sat on my CV as something really important when I went to the next job interview. I had done 2 weeks' work experience running this guy's office, organising bits and pieces. It was just amazing, but I wouldn't have been able to do it these days. You're absolutely right, Sayeeda, because you would have to say, so firstly, how old are you? What's your experience? Can I get guarantees from your parents that this wants to happen? And there's the admin now involved, Nick, although it's really important because we have to make it fair and we have to make sure the environment's safe, is definitely a barrier to just making it easy.
And I think that's where our generation has let this younger generation down. It's all too easy for us to say it wasn't like this in my day. We went straight to work. Well, as Sayeeda just pointed out, we have created... And, of course, people need to be safe, and we can't just have 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-olds walking into offices and we've no idea where they are and if there's a fire alarm. I get all of that. But I do think we've entered this sort of, to use that TV show, computer says no mentality, that, to your point, Ben, and I bet that looked great on your CV as you were working your way through, as you write, you would never have got that. I don't mean that to be rude to Mr. Winner. He wouldn't have had time to fill in all those forms if he was trying to downscale the business. He's too busy getting out there, getting clients, putting his clients forward. And I think we have caused a lot of these problems. So let's pick on these kids. A lot of it is our generations that have caused all these impositions to them.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, let's talk about our second story this morning. Former Deputy Prime Minister and Meta exec Nick Clegg has said that human beings are not nice, and this explains why we like reading fake news and gossip, Sayeeda.
I don't agree with him.
I
worked with Nick for many years. We were in cabinet together during the coalition years, and so I worked very closely with him on a number of issues, and I presume he's well-intentioned on this, but I don't agree with this because, of course, human nature is we like gossip and we like a shocking story, but we want it to know that it's true. What we don't want to be fed is lies.
Yeah.
So when headlines come up and they're kind of shock jock headlines that people want to, and it's clickbait, then that's misinformation, that's lies.
Yeah.
So to kind of say, well, human beings like these kind of stories, yes, of course we do, but we also want to know when they're not true. And if what you're giving us is lies, then surely the platforms that are putting that out and the people that are using those kind of clickbait headlines need to be held accountable for that. To try and just blame it and say, well, you like to hear this stuff is not an answer.
Well, actually, in 2023, a UN survey revealed that 85% of people worry about online misinformation. So people are worried about it, Nick.
Cleggy has gone potty. This is a man I know well. He did a regular phone-in with me when he was Deputy Prime Minister. We are genuinely friends, and we try and meet up about once a year. He's a very, very nice guy. But no, Sayeeda's right. He has got this totally wrong. He was, of course, a senior executive with Meta until fairly recently. They give us Facebook. And I know because I have briefly worked at something such as ITV News. I know because I work here at LBC News, and I know because I helped set up Sky News. Journalists go to extraordinary lengths to try and make sure that the information they're putting out on those TV broadcasts or radio broadcasts is all absolutely correct. I like Nick, or Sir Nick. I think he looks to his own now, the sort of material that goes out, as Sayeeda rightly says on some of these Facebooks. And no, you can't just put it down because we all like a salacious bit of gossip. But by the way, when I come in, Ben, Kat, have you heard this story about Sayeeda? You wait till I tell you when I get in.
I mean, please tell them, Nick. You know what? I need to be more interesting than I am.
Sayeeda Warsi trying to shuffle her father up onto an electric suitcase. But to his point, though, and I think one of the things that, as you say, he moved out of politics and then he moved into the world of Facebook. If we didn't like them, if we weren't intrigued by these clickbait headlines, the gossip and the salaciousness of these stories, Sayeeda, would there be a rush of them now? They're only proliferating on the internet because we are clicking on them to read the story. The algorithm is giving us more of these things.
Because we think they're true.
Yeah.
So if all these stories that... Look, there's a lot of really horrible, shocking things happening in the world, which is true. It's bad enough to read that. What I don't want to then be fed is a whole load of untrue, clickbait, shocking stories. And I think, for me, the distinction has to be a marker on that to say, you know, shock headline, whatever, you know, Sayeeda has done X, but then it's untrue. You know, and it's the same with AI, because the other thing he talked about was that whether or not content created by AI should be effectively watermarked with an AI mark. Of course it should. If something has been created by human content as opposed to AI content, there should be a distinction between that. And I think in, you know, later years, there should hopefully be a real value to still human-created content as opposed to AI content.
Yeah.
But the thing that they do, Nick, to that point where Sayeeda's saying you want it to be true, there is always an element of truth in it. So Ben Shepherd screams at Cat Deeley in a joking way. That's the headline. And then if you read the story, we were having a laugh on the show, but the headline is Ben Shepherd screams on Cat Deeley and the nation is aghast or whatever. So there's always that element of truth about what these headlines get you to click on.
I guess it's because of all the decades I've spent, whether it be in print, TV or radio journalism. There may be a tiny grain of it, but to Sayeeda's point, I think this is an attempt to sort of explain away. I'm not even going to tell it journalism, because it's not. No. It's lazy storytelling. It's clickbait. I'm sorry, to Sayeeda. They're just trying to justify, because yes, most people do like a gossip, but I would point you to the fact that Sayeeda has just said that she admits to X. So all I need to tell you when I come in, Cat and Ben, is what X is. I'll tell you when I come in.
Interestingly, last story of this segment is about AI. You were talking about whether AI should be watermarked. A senior Xbox boss has been criticised. He suggested his employees, Sayeeda, should use AI to help deal with their emotions. If they're struggling at work, if they're struggling with using their jobs, turn to ChatGPT. It'll make you feel better.
The lack of emotional intelligence of a company that has just sacked a whole load of people because they're using more AI, asking their sacked people to turn to AI for emotional support, poof, my mind blows. I mean, it's just like on every level. Yeah. It's like almost saying that, well, you know, this person has now taken your job, but you may want to talk to them about your feelings about the fact you've lost it and now they have it. I think this was an awful post, and it was absolutely right that he took it down.
Would you find any solace from ChatGPT talking you through the fact that it had taken your job, Nick?
Absolutely not, and I hope none of them are. But if any of your viewers are going through troubling times at work or with family or health issues, who do they need to talk to? Well, hopefully it's a member of their family. If they haven't got one, it's a close friend. It's the human interaction. And how many times have the three of us had discussions about AI? Of course we can see the value. It's ridiculous to say otherwise. But the idea it can replace human sympathy, human empathy, I don't just think it's wrong. I think it's actually quite dangerous. I think it's nuts. You need human reaction. You need to look into someone's eyes and see them empathise with you in these situations.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And there are terrible cases of people who have turned to AI for emotional support, and it's had disastrous consequences, including, you know, asking people to do some terrible harms to themselves as a result of it. And so I think this is really dangerous territory, and I think it was a silly suggestion for the Xbox executive to make.
Particularly if you are vulnerable.
Yes.
Definitely.
Seek out, that's, as Nick was saying, the human support is absolutely vital. Thank you both so far. Nick and Sayeeda are going to be sticking around to discuss more of today's top story a little bit later, including what your favourite type of exercise says about you both. We'll be finding out that very shortly.
Nice to have you in the studio, young man.
Thank you.
Yes, you've smartened things up for us, Nick.
I see what you've done there.
And rightly so.
Oh, I see.
Because the Opera House in Milan, they've been getting very upset because people have been turning up at Sayeeda not in appropriate attire.
They've been turning up not very dressed. So I know there should be a dress code and we should be dressing up for certain things, but I want to start with the basics. I just want you to come dressed. And if you're turning up at the opera in your beachwear and your flip-flops, then you are not even dressed.
The bar is low.
Exactly. I do not want to go out to a nice restaurant or to the opera and be sat next to a half-naked person who's turned up in their beachwear. The reason it's called beachwear is it's in the title. Beach wear it on the beach. And there are very few places where I think flip-flops are the right attire.
Yes.
Have you ever been found wanting when it comes to attire in a restaurant, Nick?
No, I'm completely the opposite. That's why I always wear a suit when I come here, and I see you wear fantastic shirts and tops, and, well, you're wearing something today, but I always... kind of combination of the two. No, I think it's because I just, having been a journalist, I've worn suits all my life. But, I mean, this is La Scala.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, outside of the Royal Opera, well, probably, actually, ahead of the Royal... This is one of the most... Here we are, you're seeing it now. I've not been there, but I have friends who have. It is breathtaking inside. It is prestigious.
Yeah.
And a side of rice. I mean, it was in 2015, anti-beachwear. This is ridiculous. It's a night at the opera.
We want opera to be accessible to all sorts of different people, so why do we have to be so prescriptive about what they wear?
That doesn't mean I come in shorts and flip-flops, does it? No, I really... No.
But can't you... You can see opera other places, but at La Scala, I feel like it... Don't kill my Richard Gere moment. Don't do it.
Well, but you know, I've been in situations before where I've gone to go to a restaurant and it's a summer, I'm outside and I've walked up to a restaurant and we were in Italy actually, and they said, I'm sorry, so you can't come in shorts. And it was outside. I was like, it's really hot. What are you talking about? I can't come in shorts. It's we've got no shorts policy. As a woman walked past me in shorts, and I said, clearly you don't have a no shorts policy because this young lady looks lovely in shorts. Oh, yes, but ladies are allowed to wear shorts. I said, why are ladies allowed to wear shorts and I'm not allowed to wear shorts? Anyway, in the end, they sat me in the corner and they said, we'll bring the food to you and just shut up.
So you were in the naughty corner? Is that where you were?
I absolutely understand that people want to go to the opera and have an amazing time, but equally, we want it to be accessible. We want more people to find opera. We want more people to understand that you don't have to be in a suit and a tie to enjoy this extraordinary music.
I agree with you. We don't want people having to turn up in their fanciest of outfits, right? We don't want ball gowns. I'm not asking for dinner jackets. But beachwear at the opera, there has to be a basic standard. And I think that, you know, asking people not to turn up in their flip-flops to the opera.
There was a movie in, I think it was the 60s or the 70s, called The VIPs, and it showed Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor going through London Airport.
Right.
And I remember meeting my late father. My mum took me up to meet him. He was coming back from a job as he did as a journalist in Russia, of all places. And you walk, and there was such glamour. The pilots, the crew, irrespective of whether they're men or women, they were just... And everybody looked glamorous in the airport. They were all dressed up because they were going... Have you been through Heathrow or Gatwick or Stansted or Luton lately?
Morning,
I mean, it is appalling how people dress. We need dress standards. And, in fact, if they're not smartly dressed, they're not getting on the plane. And that's just the pilot.
It's funny, there was a crew... Mario Tisti, you know, the famous photographer who did those amazing pictures of Princess Diana. Yeah. He used to have a team of assistants that would help him, and he would always make them wear jeans and blazers, so if they could get an upgrade on the plane, they'd be the ones that would go through.
The blazer was the thing to do.
Yeah, so that they look smart on the airport.
The standards to get into places have changed significantly. When I was at university, you couldn't get into nightclubs with trainers on. It just didn't happen. These days you can.
You've been denied an entrance to a lot of places.
However,
have we got Deirdre standing by?
It's nothing to do with the outfits.
Here's the thing, though. It was a friend's stag do in Guernsey. My friend Roger Sarah's wedding, amazing wedding. And they couldn't get in because I had trainers on. So we went around the corner, we took our socks off, put our socks over our trainers, went back in you come, boys. They didn't notice. Sock shoe is the answer. So if you turn up to La Scala with your sliders and your socks on, put your socks over and I bet they won't see. Sock shoe is the future.
It sounds like trench foot. Sock shoe sounds like trench foot.
Circumnavigate all the uniform issues.
Isn't this where we say don't try this at home? Or something like that?
Exactly.
Don't try this at home.
Well, let's talk about exercise, shall we? Should we talk about the gym, one of your favourite things to do? Apparently, if you like the gym, it could mean you're a show-off.
So what I think is, from my perspective, I love being fit and healthy.
Yes.
I love exercise classes with people. I like exercising on my own. Does it mean I'm a show-off? Maybe it does mean I'm a show-off. I also take my health and well-being really seriously. It's how I meditate, I think. I feel very present when I'm there, and I feel better having exercised and having done it. Whether I'm showing off or not, I don't know.
I don't think you're showing off to
anyone,
but I would say you were more checking your form. Even if you were looking in the mirror, I think you'd be checking your form.
I think you've just hit it. It's meditate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's where... I mean, you won't be surprised. I genuinely enjoy cooking. I genuinely enjoy cooking. I don't mind eating, as you can probably tell. And if there's drinking as well, it's perfect. Eating, drinking, gossiping is how I get my exercise. But cooking is the way that I kind of complete... Because we don't do anything with our hands in this job, do we? No. Nothing at all. Whereas you're lifting weights and you're doing whatever.
Well, this is part of a new study that's found that personality types apparently like certain types of exercise. So if you're an extrovert, you're more likely to go for kind of a HIIT exercise. If you're somebody who's quite planned and organised, you're more likely to have regular kind of gym sessions. It's the obvious, really. I'm trying to work out, what if you do weightlifting? What does that say about you? I mean, it probably means that you try and be quite organised.
But equally, I think doing the HIIT training might be an extrovert. Doing training on your own might be introverted. But I do both. Like, I know lots of people that do all sorts of things. I just enjoy being in that...
In the zone.
I enjoyed sharing it. The other thing is I've got 2 boys. Yeah. And I want my boys to see me being fit and healthy. I want to set an example for them. And I've seen that happen already.
That's very good.
See, I do mine at home on my own with, like, a yoga class, which apparently makes me neurotic and anxious and emotionally unstable.
I think that's fair. So they've nailed it.
All in all, I think they've done us proud. Yeah.
That does seem a little bit excessive. I am slightly worried about this final story, though.
Go on.
Are you into golf, the 2 of you?
I'm not. My husband is, and I have a life's ambition to make sure that he never gets out on the golf course because I kind of can live with squash. It's 45 minutes, he comes back, but hours and hours on a golf course, it's not happening.
You're not.
You reference your 2 sons. I have 2 sons, considerably older than your 2 boys. One of the funniest times I ever had is they were just both sort of leaving school. There's only 2 years between them. Them and their mates, they used to go and play golf. So, come on, Dad, you go. And honestly, I've still got one of the pictures. The balls are flying absolutely everywhere. But the bonding that I had with the 2 lads. So, am I any good at it? No, absolutely. Can it be quite a social event, particularly if it's with your lads? I get it. But it's not working for the young up-and-comers, is it?
The Gen Zs.
The Gen Zs.
Think it's boring. It's not exciting enough, Nick.
But with the greatest of respect, you wouldn't expect them at that age, would you? No. It's when you get a little bit older, it's when you're my age, it's when your husband's that you start and want to do business or a company director, or you want to do this or this or this or this, or you get with your mates because you want to get away from the children. I think when they get older, some of them will. I don't think golf needs to worry too much.
Well, except for my little one, he's 9, Milo, and he's just started having lessons, and he really enjoys it.
His dad loves golf?
Yeah. And so he's learning something.
There is nothing more exciting than hitting a great golf shot. I'm sorry. And the advent of being able to put tracers on your apps so you can see where the ball's gone, you can have a laugh. More golf, I think, was played indoors in America than outdoors last year because the advent of indoor golf studios and ranges and computer games type golf computer ranges and stuff like that. It's become the thing. I share it with my 2 from when they were your boys' age all the way through.
That's explained it to me now, Ben, because, the thing with me is I've tried it so many times, but what appears on the app is that the ball has never left the tee. So that's why I find it boring and I can't get into it. That's probably my issue. Exactly. But I think what golf does need to find is a way in which cricket found a new lease of life. So cricket was, the test cricket, 5 days. Lots of people found it really boring. Then we moved to 1 day. Then we moved to 2020. Then we moved to the 100. And so younger people, I found, I'm obsessed with cricket, but younger people became more interested in cricket. My kids became more interested in cricket when they had the shorter games.
I'm nervous, though, because, Ben, there is a dress code with golf. So I hope you don't put your socks over your shoe and pretend those are golf shoes when you get on the putting green.
I have revolted against the dress code.
Have you really?
As well. Yeah, I have.
There's not +4s.
One of my really good friends, Letsy, and I argue about dress codes all the time. But they are trying to do it with golf. They've tried to do indoor golf, live golf, which is the big breakaway thing. That's a different form of golf. It's 3 rounds. There's live music. There's pop music. There's fireworks. There's all bits and pieces. They are trying to sex it up. Make it
like paddle has done for racket sports in many ways.
You probably do that.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Love it.
Why did I even ask?
I just love doing.
Are you prepared to wear shorts to play paddle?
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.